Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about Christian schools. Christian schools, they exist kind of in their own world, and granted, I don't go to a Christian school, and I've never gone to one, but there's something I've noticed in people I've talked to who do go to Christian schools, and I would point it out in this video, and something to think about. There is a subculture in the world and in Christianity where people are told basically to, wear the symbols and speak the rhetoric, but that's kind of the end of it. And I do think that there are a lot of proper Christians who really understand the golden rule, for example, and they understand goodwill unto other people and to, err on the side of generosity and compassion and tolerance and all the Christian virtues. But I also think that, unfortunately, especially in Christian schools, it appears to me mostly to be about the rhetoric, the lip service, if you will, talking the walk instead of walking the talk. So I could be entirely wrong about this, and I do know that they have projects, they've got missionaries, they've got pilgrimages and all kinds of things that are made to take up time and energy, but there has to be, I think, not so much structure, but more emphasis on the spirit of it. Like I said, that there are only a handful of core concepts to Christianity. When you really boil it down, it's not so much about speaking the rhetoric or wearing the symbols or going to church or even doing the rituals or participating. It's mostly about, like I said, when you look at the Bible, all the stuff that I've seen is just a rephrasing of just a small handful of basic common sense rules, such as the golden rule, where you do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And from there you hear about compassion, you hear about tolerance, you hear about respect for other people. And I have been watching some things online. I don't have any links to share, but you may have seen some of the same things, or you can just take my word for it. There are classes where people are being told to be respectful. Okay, well, I've always thought that respect, like trust, like love, are not so much voluntary. I mean, you can tell somebody to be respectful, you can help them understand why it's beneficial, but if it's a matter of the heart, that is not even necessarily up to them. They can be open to the possibility, they can refuse to suppress respect, if that makes sense, but you cannot summon matters of the heart. The heart doesn't negotiate, and it doesn't negotiate for a very good reason, because it's not part of a logical decision-making process. If the heart could negotiate, you would have a contradiction. Hear me out. If the heart could be purchased, that is, if the heart were interested in business, it wouldn't be love. It would be business. It would be a transaction of some kind, an exchange of some kind, that is faking it for a price versus having some kind of emotional compulsion to act a certain way or make decisions along certain lines. So when people are told, for example, to respect each other, okay, now they're told to love each other, they're told to trust each other. I think that the message is getting garbled, honestly, I do. And this is what's being told in these schools, that they should do these things regardless of what their heart's telling them to do. And here you have people getting confused and angry because they don't feel it, and they're being told to just force it and fake it. And I think this is the message, the prevailing message when you really look at it in Christian schools nowadays. So it upsets me a little bit that the message is getting garbled. I think the best we can do as a people towards each other, to get along, to be decent, is to stay open and refuse to block the feelings and attitudes that would be consistent with compassion, fairness, and tolerance, right? Patience and goodwill. You can refuse to block those feelings, which is different than forcing them or summoning them. In fairness and honesty, while we're being fair and honest, not everybody deserves fairness. They deserve fairness, but they don't deserve, a great deal of patience beyond a point, if you understand what I'm saying. I think it's possible to be over-patient, and here's something also missing from the Christian curriculum. It's very possible to reach a point where if you continue to be patient, if you continue to turn the other cheek, and somebody has developed or automated a system to leverage that against you, and you're at that point being patient to an AI, for example, and they're just robbing you because they're expecting it, you've gone too far. You're hurting yourself, and you're doing no good whatsoever. there's a limit. There's a logical limit, and I think that it's about the heart. Like I said, it's about not forcing things. It's about recognizing that the heart does not negotiate, being open to feeling and acting the ways that the heart wants, but letting it decide on its own and being realistic about it. Realism is very important, I think. So if all this stuff is actually going on in Christian schools, then you can ignore this video, but something tells me it's not. They're not talking about this stuff. They're talking about going to church and just speaking the language, wearing the symbols, and calling yourselves Christians. That doesn't mean anything. Reach out if you like with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.